Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Bottom Line Show here on October 8th, 2022. I got my co host Lamar with me,
Hey, good morning.
and we got Bria with us this morning. Welcome. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you guys doing? The ultimate father daughter duo here.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely,
My,
definitely. How's it going?
you're,
How's
you're like
everybody
you're like
doing?
part of my family now.
How's everybody doing?
Yeah. It's all right. My daughter was up pretty late yesterday. That
Really?
Fallon, your granddaughter, something else.
That's funny. That's funny. That's funny. That's all, part of
Being
being a
parents.
parent, I remember those days, but man, I overslept, you guys, and I owe the whole team an apology. I overslept, like major overslept.
Oh,
Hey, you're
well, it's
here. You're here. You're good.
So no one know I just slid into the seat like moments of like even my one eye looks bigger than the other when I'm looking at the camera. I'm like, wow. But
Well,
yeah,
once again, my
you're
camera's not
here.
working, so I'm safe here. I'm safe. We don't
yeah.
know what's
So
going on here.
I'm
no,
safe.
it was like all worth it. It was all worth it. I had an incredible date night last night with Cheryl, and it was great. We had this. I surprised her with this portrait because if you ever come into our house right now, we don't have any pictures on the wall. Like we have like one picture that she was given as a gift, as a going away gift from her family, but we have pictures we want to put up. We just haven't made the attempt to put them up yet. And we had this one portrait. I mean, I've been wanting to get a portrait with her, like some type of picture with me and her together, other than our wedding picture. And so I did this writing. Somebody, it was a Facebook post or advertisement, and they said we want to hear your story. So I wrote this story out about we want to hear your couple story, right? About couples. They want to hear your story. So I told the story of us, how we got together, we known each other since fifth grade and all these things. And our kids were the same age. And we took that, it was just just telling that like that. And then she asked me how do we propose? And I told her how we proposed, how I proposed to her, and she just thought the story was really good. They just was really excited about it, and then they told me that I won, and I
Oh
got this. I
wow.
was
Okay.
I was getting this free timeless portrait done. It takes about. It said usually it takes about. It's like a 14 by 11, like the size of a
So when you
clipboard,
see
nice size.
when you say portrait, is somebody actually painted it, or is it a picture that
It's a
got blown
it's
up?
it's a picture. Then they do this something to it, and then they paint it. They paint over
Oh,
it,
okay, okay, okay. I think I've seen that kind of thing.
and they make it to where it
Yeah,
stays, for like
but you got a
100,
picture of it?
100 plus years. No, I couldn't take any photos. I couldn't even go in the room with my camera. I had to keep it out in the lobby. And then
I mean, do you have a picture for us this morning, like right now?
no, it's gonna so let me so anyway, this is the trick part. They give you the free picture, right? It's 14 by 11. But of course they want you to buy
Oh, then they
something
want to
bigger.
sell. Yeah, they're gonna sell it to you.
They're
I
gonna
got
sell
it.
it to me.
Got
But
it.
because we wanted a portrait, I went in knowing I wanted a bigger picture. Because I wanted a wall photo, a wall picture. So anyway, what they do is they take your picture, and I guess they did a promotion for like the kids photo, like who they had a kid story, a pet story, a couple story, an older couple. They had all these different storylines that they were
Yeah, yeah,
doing these
yeah.
pictures, these promotions for. And guess what? The winners they will then take their picture and they ship them to stay. They send those files to Spain, and they have a woman who lives in Spain who's their dedicated uh, artist, and she's the one that blows the picture up, does all the touch up work, and then paints over it to give it that classic museum look. That's basically what it is, a museum look. You want it to look
Okay.
like it does in the museum. And with ours, he like really liked our story. He gave us a free frame for a large. We got like a 30 inch uh, photo, and then they gave the light to go on top that shines over your photo. Oh, it was real slick. And after that we had dinner and drove home, and I crashed after that, man, because we both had to work. We worked half a day, so it was like one of those get yourself together, makeup, it really looked good. So I had a great night, and then I overslept. That was a long drawn out one, but
Hey,
yeah,
that's right.
yeah. But it was
So
that was
last
just
night I
something.
froze my butt off at a football game,
Did you?
and I came home early. I didn't even know what the score was. So
It was that
you know,
cold now in Cleveland, and Ohio. Is that cold now?
yeah, it got down to like 38, and
Ooh.
Ooh, I don't know why I
so
made that face. Sorry.
it was just a kind of like weather where you're like kind of a bone chilling, windy. So I should have worn my winter coat really, and because I have to announce the football game, so for the band, not the
Yeah.
whole game, but for the band. So I get there. It's a visiting. We're the visitors. So
Okay.
and I guess this place is. It's always an experience going to a visiting stadium, and then you like because every
Yeah.
community is different, and so they had their homecoming, they had fireworks like whenever they scored, so it's just different. Like a lot of the teams that have good high school teams, a lot of the fans are pretty ugly, to be
Yeah.
honest,
Oh yeah.
because they're hard on their own kids. They're saying like they were up 21-14 at halftime, and these guys in the press booth, they're young, 70 years old, just hanging out because they know the announcer. They're like, "Yeah,
Right.
we should be up 28-0." They're yelling at the coaches, and it's just like, man, this is high school. This is you don't need to be like that.
Yeah.
It's just kind of an ugly sort of
That's
feeling,
football.
you know.
Sports is one of
And
those
it's
things.
this is high school. This is their homecoming. I mean, this is
Yeah.
like, and then I don't know, like last year, I guess their homecoming queen last year like just died this week, so it was like a kind of a special moment. So you don't need to be like that about your football
Yeah.
team. You're probably gonna win. You're probably gonna beat us. We have uh, you know, a middle of the road team. They have a good team, and you know, just chill.
It's high school,
Anyways,
yeah.
and then I hit a
Yeah.
deer on the way home, so that was
What? You
yeah.
Nice.
did what? Oh man,
It's
how much
Ohio.
damage?
It's Ohio. It
How much
happens.
damage, man?
It's
Well,
Ohio.
it's
No, I've been
it's
there.
Ohio, man. You know what I'm. Those of you out
Any
there that are
damage?
in Ohio, if you haven't been hit by a deer, it's probably unusual. But
I've never hit a deer.
I
you
have hit
never
a
hit a
deer.
deer. You lived in Ohio all those years. You never hit a deer.
Never hit a deer.
You
You
hit a
hit
deer,
one, Bria?
Bria?
I had a deer, and George ran over a raccoon in the freeway.
When did you hit a deer?
It was in my
I never heard.
Altima.
I never heard
Um,
that one.
yeah, it was in my Altima. Then it was over there by Grandma's house, over there on
Yeah,
that.
there wasn't much damage. There
No,
wasn't much
yeah.
damage. I thought there would be a lot of damage, to be honest. It was
You
just
know
kind of
what?
started. It was just it was more like a stress startling thing because
Yeah.
it's like uh because I took the back roads way to get there, so it's
Yeah.
on this like I have to turn my brights on. You know what I mean? There's no street lights, and
Yeah.
it's like I'm on this country road. There's no place to pull. So I hit this deer. There's no place to pull over to see if my car's okay, to see what happened to deer. There's nothing. There's farms on either side, so I can't see anything.
Sorry to hear
And
that though. Yeah.
then these two oversized loads like get like in back of me, in front of me, and I can't. It's like
Mm.
so I couldn't stop.
Oh wow.
But it wasn't that bad. So I
That's
looked,
good.
when I finally got home, I turned on my garage lights, and there's just this big dent in the front, right front.
Yeah.
But there's no like, you know, the wheel axle, nothing like that. So that's good.
Right.
Anyways, you were
I was
talking about
lucky
Oh,
something.
to kind of
you
split
guys
on
are
front of my car.
you guys
So
were asking me about pictures from yesterday. I do have a what do you call it? Cheryl posted some pictures of us at home, but we couldn't show the pictures from the portrait yet. So I could just throw that up for you right quick so you can see what they look like. There you go. Yeah, you see that?
yeah, you guys look great.
Yeah. So that's the
Good
pictures from
job.
there.
Good job. Good job
Yeah.
in
So that was
doing
yeah. We haven't been out in a while. It's been like come home. She watched TV downstairs. I'm watching sports upstairs. you know. But so what was your week like, Bria?
I finished class this week. I had some finals to do, but I'm done. It's only for the
Okay.
weekend because class starts up again. There's no reason for deer to
Wait. What? Look at Joe's comment. You see that?
So there has to be a reason, you know. There has to be a reason.
All
for
God's
deer
creatures have a
for some
place.
reason, right? But I do agree. I'm trying to figure out what is the reason for deer. There must be some.
To feed predators.
Yeah, yeah, I suppose.
Yeah, but
Who's
do
eating
you?
deer in oh no, did you guys hear like last year there was actually a wolf in Cleveland that on like near Warrensville Center Road, like
No, I didn't
Really?
that
see
was
that.
eating the
That's
deer. It was
Really?
eating deer and
a
like dragging
wolf,
deer through the street.
like in the middle of Cleveland Heights.
Yeah, and there was like videos of this mangy like wolf thing, and it wasn't a little fox or anything. It was huge. It was a
Yeah.
wolf. Like it was like
Wow.
a wolf, and this thing was tearing deer apart all across that area over there by
Wow.
like Harvard,
Well, I
like
mean,
Warrensville.
yeah, the deer because they're overpopulated is a problem, and
Yeah.
Yeah, but we build like right through their home. They don't have anywhere else to go,
Yeah, that makes sense.
They like yelling, hey, like, we're gonna share this space. If I get hit, I get hit.
And there are overabundance of deer in the Midwest, like
There
yeah,
are.
there are.
overabundance.
Yeah. I haven't
Anyways,
really seen a lot of deer out here. We got a lot of turkeys though.
Do you?
you have turkeys
Yeah,
in
we have a
in
lot of wild
Missouri.
turkeys.
I did hit it. I did hit a turkey vulture going through Bedford Heights. That was it a no? It was just a regular
I
big
see a
turkey.
lot of turkey vultures around
Not
here.
it wasn't a turkey vulture. It was a regular turkey
It's a
going through
scary
A regular
the
turkey.
the Bedford Metro Parks. It was there have wild turkeys
Yeah,
in Bedford Metro Parks. I didn't
yeah,
know
I
that.
believe it.
All my years of living there, I never knew they had turkeys till I
Mm.
was like in my what we were grown. I was visiting Ohio. This was like in the last 5 years, and we were driving through.
I didn't know that either, so that's first
I
for me.
hit I hit a turkey. Well, he
Mm.
kind of gobbled across the street, and I caught him on the back end. So when I caught him on the back end, he kind of spun around and he took off.
Mm.
It wasn't
Yeah.
your
You
Thanksgiving
caught
dinner
him on
then.
the back end with your Ford F-150 pickup truck?
No, I think I was in mom's car. I think.
Oh, I was gonna say can't catch nothing with
I
that thing.
think
You running
I'm
that
trying
thing
to
over.
remember. Was I living in
You
Cleveland then, or
crush it.
was I can't remember if I was living in Cleveland. I was probably it was probably a different car. If I was visiting, I can't remember. I just remember hitting the turkey. It doesn't seem like it was that long ago, but I know I was grown. Say it that way. I was
Okay.
You were grown. I remember hitting the turkey. So
Yeah, we have these roads out here that we drive down, especially like in the farmland. We're in the south of Kansas City, so there's a lot of farmland out here, a lot of dirt roads, and that's more than likely if you're driving, you better watch out because you might see a turkey. But yeah,
wow,
that's it. But that
Well,
was
our
really it for my week. I just finished school and been
that's
been
good. I'm
congrats,
happy for
studying
you.
congrats.
a lot. And
Yep, congratulations.
thanks.
Like
Well, I mean, not
finished, like
finished
for the
school.
semester
I'm sorry.
finished, or
Sorry.
like
Yeah.
for the
Sorry.
semester, like
Finished for
midterms or
the
something.
semester. I had
Okay.
finals. I do 8-week courses. So I did finals this week, and then I start up another 8 weeks on a Monday. And it's just really stressful because these are 16-week courses condensed in 8 weeks. So I have to really find the time to crack down, like outside of being a mom, outside of being a wife, and
Hmm.
doing like all the other stuff I'm involved with. Like I have to find the time to like crack down and really get that studying in because finals are what makes or breaks you during these 8-week courses.
So
Leanne says she hit a
anybody,
chicken once. It bounced off of her safari van. That's interesting.
so
I hope
did, so did anyone catch? So did anyone catch the our show Tuesday night? You
Yes, so
know,
we want to
how did
plug
you
it. We
guys
want to make sure we plug the A Plus Sports Picks on Tuesday night. It's going to be happening every Tuesday, right? Sports night.
serious?
Here at the Bottom Line Show, it's called A1 Picks. Joe's out there somewhere, so
I was trying to show.
take a listen to that. Check it out with Joe Elder, and
Nice.
Lamar.
Yeah,
I didn't know about this. Great.
I was trying to find a copy of it, but when I clicked on it, it showed a video of me and Darren, and I don't know why. This was a live. This was a live video, and I'm not sure why it did that.
Hmm.
But when I look at it, this is from 6 days ago. Oh, that's why it was me and Darren. I'm looking for the video on Joe's page, I don't see
Well,
it. And if
if you
it,
find it, post it up on the in the chat.
yeah, I was trying to get this
We
thing
want to
up.
make sure to plug that.
Yeah, but it's called A Plus Sports. It's gonna come on every. Oh, here we go. I found it. I just want to get y'all a little bitty sample of that of me and Joe going at a little bit about sports. And the so funny thing about it, we have like some backstory. Joe was preparing for the show, and the internet went out at his house. Like he was having internet issues for the last couple of weeks in his neighborhood for some reason. But the internet went out. He drives to the library, not too far, and he does his first show live from his car at the library. And while he's
Okay, so that's
there,
why it was kind of dark and stuff.
yeah, so the last 30 minutes, I didn't find out till after the show, a police officer pulled up to the back side of him, like, so it's dark. He's sitting in his car with a light on or with his phone on. And he's sitting there nervous, thinking that a couple of things, though. Like, first, like, they can stop him, like, what are you doing? And then question him, like, right there on air. Then he was saying, well, no, they could do this. These are his thoughts. And then he said that, I'm nervous. And what if they mistaken me for somebody else? And he's like, he didn't know what can go wrong in this moment. But he said, you know what? If anything goes wrong, we're live on the air. So I had no idea this was going on in the backdrop of it. But I want to just play a little bit of us and see. I just randomly picked a spot, and we'll see. You got to unshare for a minute, Bria.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, you don't. It's there. Mine is there.
No, you don't.
And I was just gonna throw a little bit of
Victoria's hat
in there.
But
and
there's also
I gotta unstop share screen because there's that that how you have to add audio. I think that's what it was.
We heard it.
No, we heard it. We heard it.
Oh,
we
you
heard
did?
It. Just
why
go.
couldn't I hear it? Okay. Hey, slow down, bro. I didn't know. I couldn't hear it.
about that.
Whoa.
The people that can wear certain jerseys that will get you hurt.
Yes.
Literally get you hurt. You know what I'm saying?
Hurt.
And now, again, like I said, I'm from Cleveland now. It didn't matter what jersey number it was back in the day, but if you wore a Steelers jersey, bro, you might get a 2-piece, and if it's after a game, you'll get a 5-piece. You know what I'm saying? Whack, 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 whack. And that's for real. And then, so tell me this: what would you say? What would you say your top 5 notorious jerseys are?
Okay, I'm going. Oh, this is going to be a touchy subject to some.
Okay.
There's a gentleman. I'm going to try and pronounce his name properly.
Okay.
Orenthal Simpson, better known as
Wow.
O.J. Simpson. O.J. Simpson
Wow.
for Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills are doing great in the NFL right now. The
Yeah.
Buffalo Bills were doing great when O.J. Simpson was running for a million gazillion yards.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, one night,
Mhm.
we lost 2 lives.
Yeah. And a legend.
OJ got a lawyer named Johnny Cochran.
Yeah.
OJ has went through it. Was that 1993?
It was in the 90s, but you know what's even more remarkable is that weren't the Bills a superb team back in those days?
The Bills used to battle the Dallas, shout out to Dallas, the Dallas Cowboys. Like every year, the Bills were in the Super Bowl until OJ
94.
Simpson. OJ Simpson came around.
From 94 to 95 was that duration.
So that was the start of the sport A plus sports. So you guys check that out on Tuesday nights. And Darren, you want to give us the lineup for what we're going to talk about today?
Sure. Okay. Well, there's a lot of interesting things going on this week. So one of the things that we're going to talk about is that just came down yesterday. the entire police force of Uvalde, Texas, has been suspended, all of them.
Rightly
Um,
so.
and so that's interesting. We're going to talk about if that was the right thing to do or not. Herschel Walker in the news, beginning with his son, Christian, blown up online on social media with allegations and pointing fingers at his dad. And then the, the alleged abortion that took place that he paid for. Apparently, maybe he doesn't know, he says. Doesn't know her, doesn't even know mother of his own child, apparently. So, want to talk about that. President Joe has at least on the federal level, in some cases, it's going to affect several thousand people, has decriminalized cannabis possession on the federal level. We there's a lot of I was listening to a lot of international news this week, and I don't know if we'll have time to get to this, but the Iranian protest that was very, very interesting to me. I listened to a lot of news about that this week in my commute and whatnot as I get ready in the morning. Florida continues to make the news with its storm damage. President Joe was down in Florida sharing the podium with Ron DeSantis. If you can imagine a more uncomfortable meeting between two politicians, Joe Biden and Ron DeSantis sharing the mic, talking about the storm. Draymond Green in the world of sports made some news as the NBA is getting ready to go. The world champion Warriors in a practice session, he decided to hit his fellow teammate, Jordan Poole. And that blew up. I made news yesterday. One of the things that we did not talk about previous to this was Trevor Noah, who announced, I believe it was about 2 weeks ago, a week and a half ago or so, he's announcing he's leaving the Daily Show. Tom Brady might be getting divorced. I think probably. And then one of the things I definitely want to make time for is abortion bans. Courts have temporarily suspended abortion rulings or abortion law in Arizona and here in Ohio. So there you go. That's just some of the things
Interesting.
that we want to talk about today.
Yeah, very interesting. Where do you want to start off, man?
Let's start off with Uvalde.
Okay.
Can you find that there, Bria?
Mm-hmm. Sorry, I had to step off for 1 second, but here we go.
Accountability has been something that we've talked a lot about when it comes to what unfolded inside Robb Elementary School in Uvalde back in May. It has now been 136 days since 19 young students and 2 teachers were shot to death inside 2 classrooms at that campus. And since May 24th, we've seen law enforcement admit to some big mistakes made in their response that day. This week, parents and survivors and their families finally had their voices heard on a range of topics surrounding gun reform. And yesterday, a former DPS trooper who was at the school within 2 minutes of the shooting was fired from her new job with the district's police department after parents discovered who she is. Jobin Paniker is with us now. Jobin, I know you've been in touch with some of the victims' families in Uvalde. Give us an idea what you're hearing from them.
Well, Jason, the victims' families are calling today a small win, and they have been there from the very beginning. They have been fighting for accountability for the last 5 months now. They've been at every school board meeting, every city council meeting, every protest. We want to show you some images. This is from earlier today. Just outside the school district, they are packing up from protests that have lasted for days. We talked with one family member today who said the district is finally correcting a system that they say failed them on May 24th when 19 children and 2 teachers were killed there at Robb Elementary in Uvalde. Now today the school district announced the suspension of its entire school police department. It is a small department, but this news has a big impact. Now there's just been an avalanche of news involving the district just this week. 2 district higher-ups were placed on leave. Then, as you said, a former DPS officer under investigation for her response in Uvalde was hired by the district and fired just yesterday. And finally, the school district superintendent announced Hal Hershel would be retiring. Now, every one of these developments re-traumatizes these families, but the suspension of the police department is welcome news.
It's just very refreshing to see some of these families finally happy, celebrating. You just saw tears of joy and just exhaustion. They're exhausted.
We owe it to her. The community owes it to them, to every single kid and every single teacher, not just in Uvalde.
Now, with the police department suspended, the district will now have Texas DPS officers on campus and also at other school activities. Reporting live here in Dallas, I'm Jobin Paniker.
Sorry, I was gonna.
Yeah.
So there you
they
go.
the whole team. So what happens now? What is the perception of how, or I'm not the word perception. How does the city is going to go about rehealing this situation from a political standpoint? You have to. It's going to be a politically charged type situation, just like it was in North Carolina when when all those people quit because of the city manager. So what's going to happen here? Do you guys think? Like, how do you think this is going to turn out?
Well, I think that they've done the right thing, but it was should have been done months ago. But you're right. It's a perception problem. It's a politically charged issue, and for the sake of confidence that the community has in you, if you were in the shoes, I don't like to see people lose their jobs. But however, when you're negligent, you're negligent, and so I think that this is the right thing to do, and you start over. You rebuild it from the ground up, and you say things are going to be different from now on, and
Right.
there is accountability, and we're going to hold our police accountable when something happens, and we need you. We invested a great deal of our resources into you, and you failed us in our moment of need. So I think it was justified. Is like I say, is as much as I hate to see people lose their jobs, when it's justified, it's justified. Now, I want to also ask you guys what you think about this woman who was hired at another district, and then once the parents found out about it, she was fired. It's amazing to me. Here we have an example of a police officer who is negligent or did something wrong in another police department being hired by somewhere else. And in this case, they finally came to say, wait a minute, this was the woman who was in Uvalde.
Yeah. That's good. I think that
It's
shows.
good.
Yeah, I think it shows that other cities care about what's going on. They don't want you to come here after you mess up somewhere else. I feel like that should be just everywhere in the United States. It's so common that a police officer does something like this or
And then gets
shoots
a
an
job
unarmed
somewhere
person
else.
and then just skips town and goes right to the next county
Yeah.
and gets a job there. It's terrible.
She
No,
was
I
a
think,
female.
yeah,
Yes. You saw her in that video. There was she was one of the first ones that responded to the incident,
Yeah.
and yeah, they had her picture there.
I think that
Yeah.
the fact that it took this long is, I know it's a tough thing to decide on because you're like, okay, if we suspend everybody, what do we do? But this whole Uvalde situation, like the whole shooting, the entire day showed why, even if you needed something from these officers, they wouldn't be able to deliver. If I was getting robbed or
Yeah.
something, I wouldn't want to call any of them.
So I got a question. Going back to that lady officer, will this be used as precedent for future situations where police officers, are fired because of a crime they've committed, mainly shooting an unarmed person, and they go get hired at another police department, but until like Timothy, I forgot his name, the one that shot Tamir Rice, he only got fired because of the pressure, or he resigned because
That's
of the
usually
pressure.
the case because of public
Yeah.
pressure.
So is this situation, but so many other officers have kept their jobs because of qualified immunity. Do you think this would now set a precedent because of this woman here? Because it was a female. They would have kept, the police department would have kept the other Tamir Rice's killer, but it was like they even lied to me. I think it was a lie. They said they didn't even know who he was. Which, how you hire a police officer, you don't know who he is. That makes your your situation even worse. There's like no accountability even on those hiring. So in this situation, being a female, our women are going to stand up and say, well, you fired this female, but you're still hiring these males.
Maybe,
'Cause
maybe.
there's been more since then. More
Well,
officers have been hired in other cities since Tamir Rice's killer had resigned.
I think
Say
it
for
might start a
example,
precedent where people are more are scrutinizing these officers more. I
Yeah.
can't imagine, as you said. I'm sorry to interrupt, Bria. But you can. I'm sorry to. Anyway, I can't imagine the officer in the Timur Rice situation that they didn't know. How can you say you didn't know? I mean, in any job, they're going to do you apply for any job, they're going to do their research on you. And you would think that in a police department would do extra research on your background. You're a police officer. Teachers, they're going to do their research on you and find out about your former employment. You would think.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry.
me,
Go
okay,
ahead,
yeah.
Bria. You
So
started saying something.
actually lost my point. But that's okay.
I
I
mean,
do think that Tamir Rice. Back up. Let's back up. I do remember. I was gonna say I think it's not more so to do with the fact that she was a female officer, and more to
yeah, I
do
don't
with
think
the
so.
fact that she was
Yeah,
in the Uvalde shooting.
yeah.
So let's say if she was a
And she
female
was on
officer and
camera.
she shot. Yeah, let's say if she was under fire for shooting an unarmed person and then went to the next county and got a job. I don't
Hmm.
think she would have been fired. I think it's just the association with the Uvalde police shooting and the fact that she did nothing to save those
Yeah.
kids, and none of
Now,
them did
here's
anything to
here's a
save them.
question from Joe. Do you guys think that these other cops, are going to be hired somewhere else? They're just going to
I don't
recycle them
think
somewhere else.
so.
I do. I mean,
You think
it
so?
depends.
Okay.
It depends on who the police officers are. It depends on these other cities. Remember, you're in Texas, so I mean, Uvalde. I'm not sure what the demographic of their police department is, but I don't. It all depends on where these officers try to go get a job.
Yeah.
It all depends
I
on a lot. I mean, I can't see like in North Carolina, they all went somewhere else. They quit. Some of these officers here in Uvalde, they need their jobs, so they may come back. Um, but then others, it all depends on where they go and who will accept them.
well,
So it
these
depends.
officers are suspended.
Right.
Are they fired?
That doesn't mean they won't quit.
Are
Are
they
they
suspended?
suspended?
What are the
Are they?
details? Are they suspended with pay? Are they suspended? Are
I'm
they
not
what?
sure.
Like,
I'm not sure.
so my thing is, let's say if they are all let go, they're all fired. I don't think that they're going to be hired anywhere else. I don't. I think it's just because of the massive media attention that this mass shooting got. Like it was to be an officer that just stands by and let little kids get shot in a school. I mean, you signed up to protect and serve. Oh, but then we established that that wasn't people, that was property. Sorry, but still, you signed up to protect your community, and you stood there and you listened to little kids get slaughtered. So I
Here's a
feel as though when other, departments, especially now after these officers have been suspended and hopefully will be fired, I don't think that other police departments are going to want to take them in, and I don't
yeah.
feel like they'll get rehired at
Here
Uvalde Police either. I don't.
the official statement is that the school district suspended
Mm,
all police activities and
yeah.
placed this department on leave. The Department of School Police. So I don't believe that it's all police in the county or in the
Oh,
city.
it's school
It's the
police.
police that they have jurisdiction over the school district. So the school district suspended all police activities and placed this department on leave, writing in a statement that recent developments have uncovered additional concerns. So that's their statement. So
Good. The
Mhm.
reality is, and for me, I always say this, but in this situation specifically, has to deal with the fact that the training must have just not there must have been some missing component during training. Like I understand when you're fearing for your life and but this is your job. You chose to be a police officer, just like anybody that chooses to go into the Army or the Marines. You have a job to do, and you know that this job comes with the risk of losing your life. And if you're going to lose your life, wouldn't you rather it be saving children? But furthermore, you have one teenager with a gun and you have all of these officers. Not you guys couldn't come together, and I mean a mother, we say this too. We
Yeah.
saw that mother went in and got her kids out.
Well, one of the reasons why this woman was fired is because she was interviewed and said, if one of my kids was in there, then I would have gone. I would have gone in. And
What?
no, she said that. I didn't have that particular video, but that's what she said
Yeah.
in an interview. If you heard that story, that had it been one of my own kids, then I would have gone in. So then, of course, there's going to be a backlash from the community saying that, well, so my kids aren't important enough, and whatever. So this
Yeah.
is serious. I mean, this is why do we have police? And this goes back to a month or so ago. I remember having this conversation, and
Like this, I didn't realize.
police, for me, in my mind, are there to protect and serve. And this is not protecting and serving. How often do we see in police departments that are not there to protect and serve need to be revamped? So get rid of everybody, totally restructure it, something. That's what I think. James thinks that everyone will be hired somewhere else except for the chief. Maybe. He says
Yeah.
there's just a shortage of law enforcement everywhere. Is that true?
I hear there is a
Is that
shortage
true?
of law enforcement. I hear that
Okay.
everyone's looking for law enforcement officers.
Okay.
Probably because they've been so corrupt. No one must be part of that. Never mind. Just kidding. I'm not kidding.
No,
Yeah.
no, that's part
No,
of it.
but
I mean,
that is part of
These are
It is
getting a
part of
bad
it.
rap these
Don't
days.
you think? The
Yeah,
police get a
people are
bad
scared
rap
for that
in the
perception.
news.
Yeah, they're scared of that
So it's
perception.
like, well, I don't want to be a part of
Yeah.
that. If they're
In
the bad
fact,
guys, and
in Kansas City, the crime is so bad in the city that some kids actually there's the oh my gosh, should have brought this stuff up, but there is an organization in Kansas City, and in the summer they do a youth program. And the youth program this year came up with a initiative to not contact the police, but contact a hotline
yeah,
when things are escalating and you feel like it could be de-escalated without the use of police, because obviously you want to avoid police shootings, which there have been a few within the last few years in Kansas City. So, it's just the confidence in our officers everywhere in the United States is dwindling pretty quickly. And it's due to the corruption in the police departments. It's due to the racism embedded into the police departments across the country.
I have a question for you
all of
guys, and could we talk about police issues and things? We don't talk about like the crime. We keep hearing from, especially from the right wing sort of folks. I think my opinion is that it seems like I keep hearing from them, crime is bad. Crime is bad. Is crime bad? Is crime exploding? Is that an issue when you guys, go out to eat, go into the city, you're going to the store? Is that something on your mind? You're like, man, crime is bad. It's is that something you think
Depends
about?
on where you are. I think it depends on where you are. If you're in a big
Crime
city,
is down across the country though, and like the last 10 years, I think it's been statistically down.
Yeah,
but
in
you
the
can't
past
say that to
decade or
people who
so.
live
But
in the middle of. You can't say that to people who live in the midst of a bunch of crime. Like you can't
So let
tell
me-
that to people on the
No,
south side.
I don't know. I don't know what the statistics are.
Even
But
Chicago's
I've heard.
crime.
But
I've
you're
heard that
saying
since
Chicago's-
COVID.
Even
What I-
Chicago's crime has been reduced.
Okay.
But what I'm saying is that when you're saying is crime really up or is crime really bad, you can't say that crime is reduced to someone who lives in a city that sees crime every day, because they
Okay.
don't understand the
So
statistics.
do you see more crime then, Bria? Do you feel it?
Where I am,
You're
no.
like- No. Okay.
Actually, I take that back. Where I am, no. I know that the crime in Lee Summit is actually rising.
Okay.
Like I said, when you're in the middle of it, I don't know what the statistics are. I know that I have a neighbor app and everyone's getting robbed. Okay.
Really?
So,
Okay.
I want to
How,
show you something.
how about you, Lamar?
I live
Like in the
in-
Dallas area, is that something that's you're cognizant of, or is it?
we all live in the
I
suburbs.
mean, no, I mean,
I know,
the crime is everywhere. Crime always has existed, but
but
we're
is that
saying.
something that you're
But
cognizant of?
Darren said, "Do we see more crime?"
Yeah. Do you
I'm just
see
going
it?
by statistics. I'm going to show you a chart right quick from
Okay.
91 to 1990 to 2020. That's the chart.
Mhm.
Wow.
That's statistics.
Okay. Well, there you go.
So we're not saying that crime don't exist. It's just now you have a high visibility of crime because of social media, because
Okay.
of
Okay.
not just social media, but you have people who are now also outspoken about crime. Then you got to categorize what types of crime. Are they petty crimes? Are they all murder crimes, violent crimes? This right here is a chart on violent crime per 100,000
Well,
of the
there you
population.
go.
So it shows it's coming down.
That's a dramatic downturn.
Dramatic. But that's
Now, I
still
guess
a
in the
lot of
last couple
crime,
of
though.
years, though, there's been a little bit more, because this is
Yeah.
what I hear from the right wing is that since COVID happened, and then we're all kind of back to getting out again, that their crime is on the rise, and that males are they have less to do, and so they're committing crime, and so this is their talking point. So I just wondered if anyone out there agrees with that, feels that. Does it feel like it? I know in the larger sense, in the last 20, 30 years, that crime is
Yeah.
down, but in the micro sense, in the here and now, is that something that people feel? Is that something
Yeah.
you guys feel out there, guys that are listening?
The Go ahead, Bree.
I'm gonna say I get that crime has gone down, and I don't even think we're debating or anything. I just want to say this: I get that crime is down. However, it does, like Darren was saying, it doesn't feel like crime has gone down. I mean, I've never seen so many children being slain in crossfire before. I have never seen this many children being slain in
Okay.
crossfire.
Interesting.
Especially, like, I don't know if you guys follow the Cleveland Remembrance page on any of your social medias, but
Yeah.
I actually followed them, and I realized that every day someone that I went to school with, or someone who is maybe just a little older than me, like in my age range, is being shot and killed in Cleveland. And it's crazy, or being robbed,
Wow.
or just anything. I mean, some people are getting out of jail and then going home and being shot. So it doesn't
Wow.
feel like crime is going down. It feels like gun
Okay.
violence is going up. It feels like you're not really safe anywhere. And then you add to the fact that there's mass shootings going on. It's like you add that to the bunch. I don't think we ever really consider that when we think about, I guess, gun violence in cities. That we always think of like shootings, like gang shootings and stuff. But I mean, honestly, the fear of a mass shooting happening at a school I'm gonna send my daughter to is very real. So no, it doesn't feel like
So
crime is going.
would more police help?
More police? I don't know. Depends on where you are. Depends on where you are. I mean,
So,
out here, I mean, I feel like police are very biased. Even with the growing diversity in the city, I think that, and the city we're in, I think that the police are very biased. And if, I mean, I don't know.
don't you feel like that it's a talking point that politicians will use against the other side, that to try and get them elected, is that, oh, crime is increasing under the Democrat controlled cities, this and that? You hear this is what you hear.
Yeah, it depends. I mean, every city's different. I mean, every state is different. Bria's in Kansas City, in Missouri. You're in Ohio. What is the policing like in Ohio right now?
What is the policing like?
Yeah, is it something is crime down or up in Ohio? Do you hear any more crime increase in Ohio? What are you know
No,
understand what I'm
I
saying?
don't. I don't feel it, but this is what people perceive based on what they hear in the news. So
Okay. So what is
I
that?
think that people's perception. My opinion is that people's perception is that crime is on the increase because this is what they hear in the news, and they hear this in Fox News, and they hear it, and so because of that perception, they feel that crime is on the rise and that it is a problem. But I don't feel it any more or less than I ever have, really. So
I think the crime of discrimination was at a high in years past, then it kind of decreased. And I think that crime has increased over the past 5 years, 5 to 6 years. But
discrimination. Okay.
yeah, but I mean criminal discrimination. But
Okay.
then you have like New York. You remember hearing how the crime in New York had gotten so bad it increased. Well, this is from October 7th. Like I said, I'm all about data. I look at what the statistics are saying. So this is from the New York Police Department. And it says from the month of September 2022, the number of overall shooting incidents decreased in the city of New York compared to September 2021, highlighting the New York PD's continuing work to combat gun violence. Citywide shooting incidents decreased by 13.2%, driven by a significant decline in Brooklyn, Southern Queens, the Bronx, and Northern Manhattan. According to the number of murders, citywide decreased for the month of September by 23.5% compared to the same period last year. So the PD is tirelessly to prevent New Yorkers from being victimized by violence, seizing more than 5,600 firearms year to date in 2022.
Wow.
That work has been citywide gun arrests in September. That work has seen citywide gun arrests in September rise by 7.4% compared to the number of gun arrests effected in September 2021. So these are numbers from the New York Police Department. I'm not saying that other cities are similar. I don't know. So it varies. But that's a great question. And that's something that we could probably do some more investigation in to break down those different categories.
I mean, I affirm obviously I affirm the statistics that you stated, that those aren't lies and that's not fiction. I was more interested in people's perceptions. People's perception is that crime is on the increase, right?
Well, that's the media.
When that is statistically not the case.
Is it media or is it experience?
Some of it, I mean, I think
it's definitely media. It's definitely media.
Well, I think that social media also plays a role. Like James said, I think that you see it now. Here's everyone with a cell phone. Definitely. They're like, oh, look at what this woman did at the convenience store or whatever. So,
yeah.
I mean, we just saw Draymond Green punch a guy, that was a leaked video.
Yep.
So we're going to talk about that story later. That's a crime, in my opinion. But we'll talk about that. But these are things we have access. Right.
So my only point, I don't think we're disagreeing. I think we're all in agreement.
We're all in agreement. I was just going to ask. I was more interested in asking you your feelings, your perceptions. That's something that you are aware of when you go out, where you live.
Think so. I do, honestly. Like when I go into Target or when I go to Walmart or Target grocery shopping, especially when I'm out with the kids. A lot of times I don't go in the stores. I just pick the stuff up.
I mean, and when we got there, based on the fact that apparently there's a police shortage. So if there's more crime, less police, would more police help or hinder? Would it hinder the situation? And I think we're all in agreement that it wouldn't necessarily help the situation having more police.
Yeah,
I think it depends on person.
We can go to speaking of laws. How about this? Decriminalization of cannabis on the federal level. Totally agree, 1,000% agree. I don't understand why marijuana would be considered a controlled substance on the level of heroin or
I know
crack
why.
cocaine. Why?
Clearly, but well, think of how marijuana became smoking marijuana or having possession of marijuana became a crime anyway, and then look at how it increased.
How did it? Talk about it. Say it.
I don't want to say. I don't have the. I know it, but I don't want to say it without having facts. If I don't have it in facts, then I can't give numbers or anything, and I sound ignorant. So let's
does it have to do with Snoop Dogg?
No, I think that it has to do with Black people being at the time heavily involved with selling marijuana, smoking marijuana,
Okay,
and
I agree with you.
and it being a thing. And then you have the whole like hippie movement. I don't know where that ties into it, but the big thing was Black people are. This is something that Black people are doing. Let's throw them in jail for it. Let's throw them in jail for having weed.
It was
Just
another
say
excuse to
no.
throw them in jail.
Sell
Let's say
crack,
it.
but you know
But
what I
the
mean.
rate is the same though. White and Black people smoke weed at the same rate.
Yeah, but what's the
Well,
rate of
more Black people,
incarceration?
yeah, so
Right,
more Black
exactly.
people are in
That's
jail for a simple
right,
possession of marijuana of less than an ounce of weed. You're in jail
right.
for a long time, and then
It
throw
was a
in the
target.
whole 3 strikes thing, and
But
you're in jail for the rest
Biden
of your
actually
life.
specifically
That
addressed
started with
that.
Nixon. That started with Nixon, by the way.
I thought the 3 strike thing started with the Clintons.
That was just
3
overall.
strike was Clinton, but
I
That was
thought the
because of the
Nixon was crack.
that was because of the crack epidemic. But the
Yeah.
whole target of the Black community for drugs
yeah,
started
it
with
started.
Nixon.
Yeah,
Well, I'm gonna get some stats
And
here
then
because I know you always say
that
like
was
don't
even-
come with it without stats, and I was
that
gonna
was
get
the-
into it, but I didn't
let's
want to.
hear let's hear Papa Joe for a minute and a half, and we'll continue this.
As I said when I ran for president, no one should be in jail just for using or possessing marijuana. It's already legal in many states, and criminal records for marijuana possession have led to needless barriers to employment, to housing, to educational opportunities. And that's before you address the racial disparities around who suffers the consequences. While white and Black and brown people use marijuana at similar rates, Black and brown people are arrested, prosecuted, and convicted at disproportionately higher rates. So today, I'm taking 3 steps to end this failed approach. First, I'm announcing a pardon for all prior federal offenses for the simple possession of marijuana. There are thousands of people who are convicted for marijuana possession who may be denied employment, housing, or educational opportunities as a result of that conviction. My pardon will remove this burden on them. Second, I'm calling on all governors to do the same for state marijuana possession offenses. Third, the federal government currently classifies marijuana as a Schedule I substance, the same as heroin and LSD, and more serious than fentanyl. It makes no sense. So I'm asking the Secretary of Health and Human Services and the Attorney General to initiate a process to review how marijuana is scheduled under federal law. Even as federal and local regulations of marijuana change, important limitations on trafficking, marketing, and underage sales should stay in place. Too many lives have been upended because of our failed approach to marijuana. It's time that we right these wrongs.
There you go.
Yeah.
And I would like to add also, sometimes it restricts your right to vote, not only getting jobs and getting housing. So why not do it sooner? Why not do it sooner?
Something told me to just dive right into why marijuana became illegal in the United States in the first place. And it actually is more to do with racism against Mexican people. Apparently, in it started in the 1910 in the let's see. In 1910, Mexicans began moving to the United States, and with them they brought the tradition of smoking marijuana. At the time, they referred to it as cannabis, but in the U.S., they started calling it marijuana to angelicize it, and it was done to stoke xenophobia. See, am I saying that right?
Xenophobia.
Phobia. Where is phobia from? Phobia. Sorry.
What are you reading from also? What are you reading
I'm
from?
on Britannica.
Okay.
Which is really good for like instead of just getting numbers, you're getting the actual story. I like Britannica. I use it for research. Anyway,
No, that's good.
So in 1930s, Harry J. Anslinger, he started an all-out war against marijuana, and scientists confirmed that there's just really not a whole lot to do with health concerns. I mean, there's nothing really to worry about here. It's just it's not going to hurt you, but he still went forward with it. And then in his notes, he made comments like reefer makes darkies think they're as good as white men.
Whoa.
And it said majority of pot smokers were minorities, including African Americans, and that marijuana had a negative effect on these degenerate races.
Who?
Mhm.
Okay, but I'm
So
sorry. Who is saying this? Who is saying this?
this is Harry J. Anslinger. He was the head of the
In the
Federal Bureau of
1930s.
He was the head of the Federal Bureau of Narcotics. Mhm. So when we look at, I mean, is this a surprise though?
Wow.
We know that leaders and at this time, we know that a lot of them were old white men who were racist. So it doesn't surprise me at all. Yeah, I'm not surprised whatsoever.
His name pops up as soon as you Google the Federal Bureau of Investigation.
Narcotics.
He was under Harry Truman. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, just the weed should not be illegal in the United States. It really shouldn't be, especially when you look at the benefits of it, especially to patients who have cancer, to patients who have MS, to patients who have any type of nerve disease within the, what am I trying to say? Disease in their nerves. I can't think of the word right now. But
Neuropathy.
yeah, sure. Yeah. So, but we know the benefits. We know that it's a calming effect. We know that people with anxiety use it to calm down. Now, I do think that it's a gateway to other drugs. If you are, seeking that way, if you're not
Well,
using it for medical
here's the
reasons,
thing.
you're using it for.
Um,
I don't think it should be
I think we
illegal.
I think probably most people would agree with you as far as the medical marijuana use, but then the recreational use is another question. That's
But why?
the next gatepost to go through. And my question in
Right.
regards to that is, what's the difference between this and drinking?
Thank you. Now, we
So
don't smoke or drink in our house. However, but go on. Sorry.
no, I mean that's really the only question I have is what is the difference between in a recreational sense using marijuana and drinking alcohol?
I mean, you think of all of the drugs that are allowed in the United States versus marijuana. I mean, we've had cigarettes. Hello, cigarettes,
Yeah.
nicotine, cancer-causing cigarettes. At one time, at the time, probably in the 1930s, when they were trying to ban marijuana, they were serving cigarettes in hospitals. They would come to your room and hold a box of cigarettes and let you choose which one you want to smoke.
Mm-hmm.
So, you look at all of the nonsense in this. No, seriously.
No, I know. That's why I'm
Crazy.
laughing because it's true.
It's crazy because, you just have things that are illegal in this country just solely based off of the demographic of who uses, this thing,
Yeah,
there's not the same restrictions on
Joe's calling me out as an addicted drug user here.
Yeah, me too. Caffeine is a drug. It's
I
very.
mean, you look at.
I mean, you guys see me every Saturday. I got a cup of coffee.
We can't see you. We can't see you.
You can't see me today, but believe me, I have a cup of coffee. I got a cup of coffee in my right hand.
Oh man,
so funny. I've got to get some more coffee today. I just ran out of my coffee pods yesterday. My coffee.
So the question for you too: did Joe Biden do the right thing?
1,000% right thing.
Yeah, he's a little too late. Like he's too little, too late with it. But
my question is why now? Is because it's an election year.
Politics. It was politics.
It was politics. Yeah.
So
that's my only criticism.
What is going to be what is the result it's going to do? What's going to happen now? What do we look to for this conversation? How does it look for the future?
We're not going to spend resources on arresting people who are simply using and possessing marijuana, so we can focus on other things that are more important.
So are they going to still get people? So if you have a couple ounces of weed and you sell it to Bria, say, here, Bria, here's an ounce of weed.
So is that a crime?
Is that going to still be a crime?
I don't know.
He's
no. The only reason why I asked that question is because right now you only get weed for medicinal purpose
legally
in many states that are still basically illegal, where weed is illegal. In states where it's openly legal, Colorado, you don't have that problem. It won't be a targeted problem. It's like it would be considered a misdemeanor if so. More so than in a state where it's not legal. Are they going to steal, like Texas, for instance? Are they going to steal? I mean, there's a guy that got killed because he smelt like weed. You know, the police arrested a guy.
Yeah.
If you remember Marvin Williams here in Allen, you know,
was that the one in the parking lot that was killed?
Yeah, they killed him at at the prison cell, but they took him to the hospital.
He was
they
in
said
prison.
that he was fine. Not prison, but I'm sorry, the local jail.
The holding
they
cell.
said he was fine. The holding cell. They said he was the hospital said he was fine.
Okay.
So the officers transported him to jail to arrest him, and like 7 or 8 officers got fired because he died. And so over smelling like weed, nobody actually saw him smoke the weed. Someone at the shopping center said he smelled like weed and called the police.
So what? But that's my issue. My issue was this. If we're gonna we can make a slight transition. We come right back. But what gets me is what is happening to the people that make these calls? Are these people being held accountable? Because
what do you mean, the people that report them?
You are calling the police on someone who smells like weed. Why in the heck would an officer respond to a call like that? Why would dispatch send an officer?
Because they have nothing better to do.
Or someone who smells like weed when some old lady is getting robbed up the street. Why?
This goes back to my point of what's going to happen now. We're not going to waste resources on somebody who's going to call the police over someone standing next to them in the store that smells like weed. The police can say, okay, so what? Take the next call.
There was, just this weekend, I saw this video, and I'm going to call them out. Philadelphia Pregnancy Center. Okay, Philadelphia Pregnancy Center. This woman goes in 7 months pregnant, and she is asking for a note to start maternity leave early. And she wants to start maternity leave early because she's having severe nausea. When you're pregnant, everyone's different when they're pregnant. Some people have the worst symptoms when they're pregnant. Yep. I mean, especially as you get towards the end, your bones start cracking, your hips, the ligaments start to get relaxin in them, which is a hormone that causes your ligaments to just really relax to open up your pelvis for the baby. And your hips start to hurt and your back starts to hurt. This nurse tells her that she's fine. And I guess apparently this is the second or third incident this has happened. Well, she puts the nurse on camera and she says, the nurse starts talking and she says, what were you thinking about when you got pregnant? Were you thinking that you were just going to call off work? You think you just wasn't going to have to work anymore now that you're pregnant? This is in the Philadelphia. Wow. So the woman is like, explaining to her, you don't know how I feel and blah, blah, blah. She's recording her and she lets her know that she's being recorded. And the nurse takes a swing at her.
Wow.
Okay? The nurse is leaving, and she swung at her with some sort of plastic container. She's leaving the hospital. She's leaving the clinic, and she follows the nurse out the door. And the nurse tells her, "I'm going to call the police on you again."
Wow.
So when I say, when I'm showing this just frustration of it's frustrating. You're going to call the police on a Black 7-month pregnant woman, all because you got caught with your racist butt in this hospital. You got caught.
Here's what I think. That nurse was personally triggered by something in her experience, because maybe nobody gave her the benefit of the doubt when she was pregnant, or she's got personal moral issues with this patient that's unjustified. That's what I think, because there's got to be something more than just I'll tell normal, you, that's just not a normal conversation.
Black, pregnant, and in Philadelphia.
And you're gonna throw a punch at a pregnant woman? Wow.
Because she asked her, "What did you think was gonna happen when you got pregnant?" Oh, I forgot to mention this. She only started bucking up and getting all crazy in the pregnant woman's face, when the pregnant woman let her know that the doctor already signed it. She said, "Oh, the doctor already signed the note." And then she starts going crazy on the girl. This is a video. I will send you guys the video later, but it's on Instagram. If I don't know if you follow Baller Alert.
Just take the link and put it right in the comments.
Yeah,
just
I'd like to
tell
see that. I'd like to see that.
Well,
I
that's another perception problem we have in our country, that the comment of you're just going to be lazy. I just had that same conversation yesterday. Like, I made a comment that I would like to see that the average American citizen, especially with a trade, a skill set of some sort, make at least. First, I said $200,000 a year. Then I said, well, okay, let's make it $100,000 a year.
What is this?
The average Americans, just to survive, just to live, we should not be struggling to have a job, a home, and buy food, and we shouldn't struggle. Now, I'm not saying that all jobs should be making $100,000 a year. I'm saying the average, because the average income for America right now is like,
That's pretty
between
high.
40 right now is between $40,000 and $60,000, right? The average
Yes.
is what they're saying. But at $60,000 a year, can you literally live off of that?
I could.
You could live off $60,000 a year.
I could personally, yes. Yeah, I have.
We're talking like for a family.
Well, eventually, most people eventually become, have a family. But what I'm saying is that,
It's impossible.
can you survive with our inflation, buy a home, and buy a home, have a vehicle, whether it's used or new, whatever, buy a vehicle and have food and sustain yourself. Live decently. Now, we can say we can live in an area that probably is not as desirable, but what I'm saying is that the struggle of what things cost right now, I'm saying that people should be able to live a little more comfortable. I'm not
Yes,
saying, I
they
said
should
these
be.
are skilled jobs. I'm saying people that have earned, whether skilled through experience or through schooling, that you should not have to struggle just to live in America is what I'm saying. There are people with 2 and 3 jobs.
I agree with
because
you.
they can't afford it. They're making, look at the minimum wage. With the minimum wage in America, what is it right now?
I'm gonna check it out.
The federal minimum wage.
Yeah, what is it right now? And then you tell me, can you live off of that?
No, you can't.
Even as a single person, could you live off of that? No.
$11.15. Lord Jesus.
You
That's
said,
where I am. I'm sorry.
What is the federal minimum wage, or is it by the state?
I think it is by state, because Missouri is $11.15, Mississippi is $7.25,
So-
Montana is $9.20.
Average minimum wage is what I'm putting in. Average minimum wage in the U.S. The average minimum wage. Let's take the federal minimum wage.
The federal minimum wage is $7.25. That means that any states that impose any kind of minimum wage has to be at least
over that.
So $7.25. Think about that. Think about that. Check out. You know how my first job I made $6.25, $6.75 in 1986.
My first job I made $2.50 an hour.
My first job I made $8.25.
So think about what you guys are saying. Count them years back, and this is 2022. 1986, the minimum wage was $3.35 an hour.
Yep.
Is it $3.25? $3.25 or $3.35 in 1986, when I was in 10th grade and able to work. It was $3.35, $3.25, something like that.
I agree with you, Lamar.
I was fortunate.
Wages.
I was fortunate to be able to know someone who got me a job at $6.25 working for the city of Bedford Heights. $6.75. I was happy because it was for me, there was this sense of appreciation, but secondly, I knew I was above where the minimum was at. That was a encouragement for me. It made me set goals in my life when I look for jobs, where to start off at. This is what I'm making now. This is where I'm trying to go, and I've always been that way. But
this is what I'm worth.
Right, this is what I'm worth.
Yeah.
That was my first job, so I really didn't have a gauge. After that, I had a gauge because what I'm saying is that if you've always been around the minimum wage level, you don't have a gauge. You can only compare yourself to other people.
That's a good point.
Not your wages. And I give you another example with that. When, like I said, $675 when I was in the 10th grade. In 2008, I lost a good job because the job closed up with General Electric. I went to school for a couple of years. After my schooling was done and my unemployment ran out, they had me on unemployment for like 2 years. When that unemployment ran out, I went and got a job at Walmart. I got paid at Walmart $7.25 an hour. That's what the minimum wage is right here. That was in 2010, I think it was. 2010 or 11. 2010, I made $7.25 an hour. I was 40 something years old. 40 something years old, making a minimum wage, right a dollar or so above, less than $1 above what I made in 10th grade. That does not make sense. That's what I'm talking about. Minimum wage. So we see companies now saying we'll pay $18 an hour, we'll pay $15 an hour. Add that up. How much did that really come up to? Is that still enough money? It sounds like a jump from $5 an hour or $7 an hour, $7.25. You go to $15, but we have a system here that really sucks when it comes to the menial jobs, the small jobs that you would look at or look down upon.
Yes.
And you expect, and then you say things like this to this lady, oh, because you're pregnant, you're gonna just lay around. Because people feel that you want to lay around if you got a $7 job.
Nobody that I know wants to lay around.
Exactly. Not even the person who makes $7 an hour, they want to do better. Everybody's not meant out for college. Okay.
I've never known anyone that wants to lay around, that doesn't want to work, that doesn't want to earn their way. This whole notion of people that are lazy and people that just don't want to work and they want handouts, that they want the government to take care of them. Whatever the government does to take care of people is not enough, is not the minimum.
But then you take this
Jeffrey wants to lay around.
Oh, brother. But
you don't. Here's the thing, though. But seriously, though, Jeffrey, you don't, do you? But you don't. I'm serious about it. You don't want to, and you don't, and because of that, you don't, because you know.
No,
this conversation.
He came into the office every day because he didn't want to lay around. You know.
I think there's a very important component to this.
No, but I'm serious about that.
It goes deeper.
If he wanted to, he could quit his job. If he was able to, he could quit his job and not show up.
Nah.
I can't find the video.
Hold on, Bree. Check this out. What we're saying goes deeper from a mental perspective. For those people, everyone can pick out somebody, then say, you know, I know so-and-so who's lazy and just want to collect a welfare check. There are people like that. But where does that come from?
Have you known people like that?
Yes, I do. I've known people like that. But what I'm saying is that it goes deeper it goes to a deeper mental health issue, in my opinion, because you got to look at from one generation to the next. Is that what she saw? And then if that's what she saw growing up, what did that person see growing up? It goes deeper than some people. It's like but think about it, they're not happy there. They feel like
that's what it is, because I think we're missing a very important component.
I think that's a big point. This notion of generational poverty.
I don't think you're missing any component to this.
No, what I'm saying is that they're not
generational poverty and mental health are big issues.
No, Black women in healthcare in this country, which you guys didn't address. My daughter's crying. Sorry.
I don't think
anyone. We can talk about that. We can talk about that.
Darren said no one's happy being in that state. I agree.
No, they're not.
No one wants to be happy sitting up collecting a check. But what is there's a deeper piece there. It goes deeper than saying someone's lazy. I don't look at everyone being lazy. If they was in a situation to make more money and be in a better situation, they take that over collecting a check. No one wants the government all in their business. But what happens? What is going on in that situation? There's a sense of hopelessness sometimes. Where does that come from? There is a sense of hopelessness in some people.
Yes.
Why do people? Why are there homeless people on the street? Why do you say, "Oh, he chose to be homeless"? What is lacking in that person's life to give them a sense of hopelessness sometimes?
So while I agree with all of this, right? I agree with everything you're saying.
Okay.
I don't think it applies to this situation.
No,
I
I
think.
didn't say that. I didn't say
Oh,
that. I just said I brought up the minimum wage thing because we talked about a perception
We
of
talk about
laziness,
perception of looking down on people.
looking
right.
down on people for laziness
Mhm.
because the
I
nurse
agree.
attacked this woman assuming she wanted to be lazy. And that's not the case. So I use the perception of where our income is in this country because most people would not be in that perception if they had an opportunity
I
to
want
just
to,
succeed.
in regards to this issue, and we can go back to what Bria was saying, but I just want to mention briefly. I think that people need, I think men in particular. I know that this was a female nurse, but men in particular need to be apparently need to be educated more about pregnancy. We have all
True.
these abortion bans that are like that don't take into account serious health considerations, and then, how can you do that? It's because apparently you can be fairly well educated in this country and still have no idea what goes on in a woman's body, as if to say that you've never had a daughter or a wife or a sister or a mother that had any pregnancy difficulties. I can't believe
Yeah.
that. Well, go ahead.
Yeah.
But like what you're saying, Bria, like here's something that I didn't know. I didn't know about this reflexin that you said. I didn't really know about that.
Relaxin. Oh, it's like
About how it makes sense to me that a woman's
Mhm.
body has you'll have joint pain and things like that. That makes
Mhm.
sense to me.
yeah, it sucks. Towards the end of the pregnancy, when your body has to start opening up, like your pelvis region has to start loosening up so the baby can pass through because it's like a really big baby. And your ligaments just kind of just don't support anything, and all of your hips and bones rub together. It's terrible.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. So all I was saying was just like I think in that situation it was just the fact that she was a Black woman and this nurse said, I checked your cervix, you're fine. She just doesn't believe that she is in the amount of pain that she says she's in. And she ties that to saying you just don't want to go to work. And I just feel like this is not something that's unheard of. This is very common. A lot of women who are Black,
Who are Black? We talked about this last week.
they're not believed. They're not
Yeah.
believed. In the medical, it's
They
like,
believe that Black bodies have a higher pain threshold, or
yeah, it's
somehow
ridiculous.
have a higher pain threshold than others.
The
So
worst
did
part
you all?
is
So
that
did you all
women
read the video? Did you guys watch the video I sent you all last week about Dr. Joy DeGruy?
no.
Uh,
I mean,
we were going to watch that together, I thought.
Oh, we can do that too. We need to watch that because it discusses exactly what you all are talking about. The pain.
Yeah,
the
we
pain
talked about it a
level
little
of
bit
Black
last week
individuals.
about like the
Yeah.
the generational trauma thing, and that opened my eyes to a
Yeah.
lot of things. But I think
I
that
actually did a
it might
report on
be in this case that might be playing a this might be a factor in this white. I assume it's a white nurse. Basically starting a fight with this Black pregnant woman. Would
Yeah.
that have happened if it was a white woman that came in the pregnant? I don't know. It'd
Of course
be
not.
more difficult to see that happening. Would this nurse be calling her lazy, that she just doesn't want to work
I think it depends
after
on
the
what
doctor
factor.
already signed a note for her? Jeez.
She didn't even know. When she found
Yeah.
out, she was upset about it, which is crazy. But yeah, I actually did I did a report on this maybe 2 years ago on Marion Sims, who was a doctor during slavery, and he operated
Yeah.
on one of his slaves. And I can't remember her name right now, but he operated on her. He was basically using her like a test patient, and he
Mhm.
operated on her multiple times without any
Anesthesia.
anesthetic, and eventually she died from her injuries.
Yeah.
So
I remember that. He's in the story also.
Joseph
That video.
Mengele type of
I'm
stuff.
sure that's
Terrible,
why I mentioned
terrible.
about that, because I'm sure she went into that I'm sure she talked about that.
Well,
That's in the story. Yeah.
we want to make sure that we touch on Herschel Walker because it
Well,
was such a big story this week. I think. Go ahead.
Yeah, I got Bob Parton from the Prim. He wants to get in on this conversation. So I'm trying to get people a variety of I would love to have a diverse group of people to join us and watch this video and then have a discussion, because it will give you something to think about, whether you agree with all what she brings nothing but receipts with everything she says. But if you can't, it's going to be a great discussion if we can get people willing to have to spend the time to watch an hour video. It's a little over an hour, and it just opened my eyes to so much. And that's exactly why we have the educational issues in our school right now of the whole CRT issue, the history, banning books. All this stuff goes back into um, the history of our country and the truth being revealed about how our perceptions today were started back in the 16 and 1700s in our country. And I just feel that this is something that every school should see. This study that she did, it's amazing because it even brings up policing with Sampra. You guys need to look up. I can't think of his first name, but it's Sampra. He's a Stampra, rather Stampra. He is a officer who's on the run because he has to live from different locations because he revealed the truth about policing. I mean, it's so deep in the information that we have at our disposal if we just take time to research it. And yeah, sorry about that. I just need to just get that out. But you go ahead and talk about Herschel Walker.
You know what?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Pause. I'm so sorry. I just was looking at. I was trying to get the name of the slave that he worked on, that he was operating on. It was multiple slaves, but what makes me mad is I came across that medical journal on a government website, and it's giving a fresh new look on the history of Dr. Marion Sims. And it notes that he did do surgeries on unconsenting slaves who had
Okay, wait a minute. So who's putting this out? Is this somebody trying to rewrite history? In other words,
yeah, it's a yes. L.L. Wall. It's a it's his the medical ethics of Dr. J. Marion Sims, a fresh look at the historical record.
a fresh look, as if we need to take a fresh look at some monster. Let's take a fresh look at Jeffrey Dahmer. Maybe he wasn't that bad.
It was.
I mean, come on.
It's so frustrating because he calls him a surgical hero in his own time.
A hero.
Mm-hmm.
This is a guy that's trying to be serious. This person that's writing this.
It's a medical journal.
A medical journal.
Mm-hmm.
A serious medical journal that's looking at a guy that operated on a black African slave in the 19th century without anesthesia, that had died from her injuries.
And listen to
He's a medical hero.
This one is the one young woman, a slave named Anarcha, with a particularly difficult combination of, I don't know how to say this word, vesicovaginal and rectovaginal fistula, underwent 30 operations before
I know what that is.
Was able to close the holes in her bladder and rectum. 30 operations.
Without anesthesia. It's torture.
She was an experiment.
What?
Now let me.
But back then they were saying that they believed that her pain tolerance was higher than her counterpart. That's what that was about.
Is she not a human being?
That's how they viewed her. At that time, she wasn't a human being.
So no, this makes me mad. And
in their eyes, she was not a human being.
What we should have is an educators forum again, because all this stuff in the last few years, we need to do that as well. But as far as like re-educating people, as far as like looking back on things in history that were horrific, it says, "Oh no, maybe they weren't." Yes, they were. Now there are people that do noble work in Africa. A lot of female doctors, because of female. Basically female surgeries that fixing fistulas and this and that, but this is extreme. I'm sorry. I'm fumbling over my words, but because I'm so mad.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna move on. We're gonna come back to that because I definitely, like I said, we're gonna do this video viewing. Maybe one
I
day.
didn't mean to. You look like you have more to say, Brian.
I'm so angry at this person. I think I'm going to contact the website. Go on.
Well, I want to make sure that we talk about this. As much as I don't want to, it was such big news this week that I think we'll have a lot to say about this because it's pretty explosive. So I don't know if we'll get through all of this, but this is Christian Walker who exploded on social media with this accusation. So
I stayed silent as the atrocities committed against my mom were downplayed. I stayed silent when it came out that my father, Hershel Walker, had all these random kids across the country, none of whom he raised. And you know my favorite issue to talk about is father absence. Surprise, because it affected me. That's why I talk about it all the time, because it affected me. Family values, people. He has 4 kids, 4 different women, wasn't in the house raising one of them. He was out having sex with other women. Do you care about family values? I was silent, lie after lie after lie. The abortion card drops yesterday. It's literally his handwriting in the card. They say they have receipts, whatever. He gets on Twitter. He lies about it. Okay, I'm done. Done. Everything has been a lie. And so for the right to say I'm being suspicious for saying, hey, I'm done with the lies, when you all have been calling me saying, is this true about your dad? Gosh, we're not going to win Georgia, this candidate, all that's been you. You have no idea what I've been through in my life. You have no idea what me and my mom have survived. We could have ended this on day 1. We haven't. I haven't told any stories. I'm just saying, don't lie. Don't lie on my mom. Don't lie on me. Don't lie on the lives you've destroyed and act like you're some moral family man. Y'all should care about that, conservatives. And then for people on the left to act as though I'm responsible for all of the things that he has done. I've talked about Father Epps. I've talked all these issues because they've been close to me. Because they matter to me, because I went through it. That's why I've talked about it. So when you say, well, talk about your dad, but I'm saying this behavior is atrocious. Don't come for me. You don't have to like my politics. You don't have to like me. You don't have to. I'm just saying I'm done with the lies. We were told at the beginning of this, he was going to get ahead of his past, hold himself accountable, all of these different things, and that would have been fine. Go ahead. He didn't do any of that. Everything's been a lie. Everything's been downplayed. Everything's been cutting corners. The whole thing. And whose expense is that at? Me, my mom, as we're chased down by the media, we're terrorized, all these different things. People are questioning my authenticity. I'm done. Don't lie.
and he goes on, but you know,
That was good.
a couple of a couple of things is like this is authentic emotion, and this is authentic dare I say righteous anger from his son, and that he feels